have Dr. Kiran Chadha with us today, who is an ex-Joint Secretary, Government of India, and now she's an author, poet, philanthropist, motivation speaker, and much more. And she is a very dear friend. We've known each other for a very long time. Thank you so much, Kiran, for joining us today to share your health story. Please let us know what health issue you're going to talk about and what were the symptoms. Welcome again.
Thank you, Manju. It's a pleasure to be here today to discuss something called Crohn, a disease I had never heard of till I was diagnosed and detected with the same during the COVID period. So this is all about the gut. The gut starts from right when you put anything in your mouth, and it goes down your intestines, down till the colon when you excrete. So everything happens in the small intestines and the big intestines or the large intestines. In my case, I had a weak stomach, but I never stopped myself from eating everything and anything, including golgappas. So very soon in my 30s, I realized that it's a recurring feature that I have nausea, then I have pain in all over the stomach. I couldn't diagnose where it is, how it starts, where it ends, and then I would throw up, or I would be given an injection, and it would subside, and life went on till one of the doctors in Chandigarh, when I was managing the medical college Chandigarh, told me, "Ma'am, let's do an endoscopy for you, and let's do something in the X-ray region where they inject a dye that was in the olden times. Now, of course, there are better ways of doing it, and they injected that dye, which went down my whole gut, my whole system, and what came out was that I have tuberculosis infection in a part of my intestines. So the treatment started. We started with 9 months of that very, very difficult medicine, because you have to take early in the morning, and these are large capsules. But I continued and pursued till 9 months. And after that, my next test was that I was cleared of tuberculosis. I still do not know how I got that infection. But anyway, I was rid of that. A few months later, again, the problem started. And it was the same. We went out for any program, and there I would hold my stomach and either leave the program or pop in a pill and then go to the doctor, take an injection. So it was like a vicious circle that whatever I eat or whatever I do not eat, something or the other would happen with the stomach. So, like I would very, very often have this pain in the whole of the stomach. Sometimes it would be around the navel, sometimes above, and sometimes left or right, whatever. So then they checked me up for appendix, that was fine. But my gallbladder had sort of some problem, in the sense that part of it had got stuck to a part of my intestines. So then the stones were there, but the gallbladder itself was a little patchy and whatever. So they said we have to remove it, and not with laparoscopy, but with an open system. So I must tell you something very interesting here, that when they were trying to open it, I asked my brother, who's also a gastroenterologist, I said, ho, ye to nishan pad jayega. I'll have a big scar and I wear saris. And he told me very happily, he said, are you going in for belly dancing that you have to bother? We have to get this out. Yes. So the gallbladder was removed, and I was positive at that time.
Sorry for interrupting. So would you say the main symptoms were pain in the stomach? And were there any other symptoms? Did you have loose motions or any other symptoms for this issue?
So normally what I had was, that I would have this gas sort of a formation, but it wouldn't come out. I wouldn't be belching. I wouldn't be having diarrhea. I would just have pain of a very uncomfortable kind, where, I used to just feel I have to lie down, and used to be miserable because the pain was spreading all over. Sometimes there was spasms. Sometimes it was just piercing, and sometimes it was just pain, mild or otherwise. So I had to be injected with an injection. So, or I would take a painkiller. Then the doctor started me on Pentocid,
Right.
saying that this would improve your digestion because now you don't have a gallbladder. So there was a list of do's and don'ts. I could not eat fried stuff. I could not eat street food. I was told to avoid X, Y, Z.
Right.
But anyway, I had my cheat days, and sometimes they would pass peacefully and sometimes not. But the trouble was not over because it was still there. And I had so many bouts that ultimately my children and my husband said that we have to check up again. So an endoscopy was done. And the endoscopy, after doing, they said that your region of your intestines is narrowing.
Right.
But it's not so bad because it's not ulcer induced. If you get ulcers, then we have to take another decision. So I was put on medicines and given SOS painkillers, and life went on the usual. It's very surprising that none of the doctors I consulted told me to undergo an MRI or
Right.
any detailed investigations until 2020. It was in the COVID period that I was totally, just before COVID, I was totally sort of shaken up because I was having these bouts very frequently, and my stomach would bloat to unhealthy proportions, and just above the navel, there used to be a big bloating.
Right.
And then followed by pain, nausea, but no vomiting. And then ultimately, I would have to take a painkiller again. Now, the redeeming feature in my system then, now, until today is that I never had constipation and I never had frequent diarrhea, which probably is making me sort of get over this faster than other patients would.
Right.
So in 2021, around COVID time, the doctor in Medanta, went to the best there, Dr. Sood. In Chandigarh, I was with Dr. Atul Sachdev, who's also a very senior medical gastroenterologist, then my own brother. So everybody was consulted. My children even consulted doctors abroad because they were thinking it may not be life threatening.
Right.
Till the doctor said it's not life threatening, but there are going to be lots of ifs and buts, but let's go through the tests. So that time in Medanta,
right.
they advised me to go through a colonoscopy.
Okay.
And that was a procedure which is again very cumbersome because you're under anesthesia. And when I came out, they told me that part of your intestines have ulcers, but the sad part is that your small intestines have narrowed in certain areas, and those areas are so many that we cannot give you any surgical option. You have to take a lot of medicines, and your only answer is that you cannot eat so many things.
Right.
Now, what were those so many things? No wheat, no milk, no fibrous food, no fruits with fibrous element. I could not have chapati, normal chapati, and I could not have any green vegetables or even rajma and all these beans related. No nuts, nuts also, those that were soaked probably. And with the result that I was so depressed that I'll be eating nothing. And then the doctor said that the redeeming feature is that you can have maida. So I questioned him. I said, how can I have maida? Everybody says this flour, white flour or whatever is not good for health. He said, I am your doctor. I'm telling you, this is easily digestible. So you will not take wheat ever. So my chapati now is...
Sorry, interrupting. So when was this? Is after it was diagnosed as Crohn's disease? When was
Yes,
it actually detected that it's a Crohn's disease? How
2020.
many years? How many years? You said it was before COVID. So 2019 or so, you
No,
started.
no, I was having problems in 2019 and 2020. But 2020, I started undergoing tests again. And I had to take special permission with the hospitals to go during COVID period.
Right.
Because these tests were undertaken at that time. During the colonoscopy in 2021, I was detected with Crohn's.
I see.
And then we had multiple, we discussed with so many doctors, and then he said that you have to. And I was, because the pain was continuing, because I had bloating, because I was not able to eat, they told me that you will have to undertake steroids.
Right.
So I was put on a heavy dose of steroids for 2 months, tapered off. And in those 2 months, you won't believe, like the spirit that I have, I still traveled, but I took my medicines. Until today, in this disease, you cannot give up your medicine even for a day. So I've been religiously doing that.
So
But
it's curable, or is it to be maintained? It cannot be cured, but you really need to maintain it with the medicines and things.
so, Manju, what I have to tell you about this is that I've been reading a lot of literature in it. This disease is like blood pressure. It'll stay with you. You may have your good times and you may have your bad times.
Right.
Medicine or no medicine, sometimes it just erupts. And I've never been able to pinpoint which particular food doesn't suit me. For example, my last episode was yesterday. Imagine, I didn't know that I would be sharing this with everybody. That I've been traveling to so many countries, and I was taking bread and pizza and everything, and I was all right. Yesterday, home food of pumpkin, which was home cooked, and dal, which is the masoor dal, which again, I am not allowed dals which are, the, as you call, the puri dal, sabut this. It has to be the dal without chilka.
Right.
So when they told me that, what did you take? I said, I took normal dal. And as that was at 2 o'clock, I had lunch, and by 3, I was in pain. I was in bloating yesterday.
Right.
And I took one painkiller at 3:15. I took a Pentacid at about 4 o'clock, and then I waited. Nothing happened. My pain continued to increase, and then I had to take an injection of Voveron at about 6:30.
Right. So
What I'm saying is,
in terms of your medication to manage this, what are the medicines that you are taking every day? This was an episode, but when it's normal, you don't have these pain episodes. To maintain the Crohn's disease, what are the medicines you are taking regularly?
so the medicine that they started me on was Pentasa, 500 grams, and in big quantities. It was later tapered. The steroids were also tapered, but Pentasa I continued for 2 years.
Right.
Until the ulcers in the colon neck region had subsided. So Pentasa was discontinued. But I continued with this azothripine, which is called Azo, which I'm taking till now, 100 grams every, 100 mg every day. I don't think so. I have given that up even for a day. Even when I'm traveling, I carry it with me. And the other medicine that I take is now, again, I've been put on steroids. But earlier it was just this medicine and some vitamins and folic acid, which also I take off and on. But the main thing is that I've not taken wheat for the last 3.5 years. I've not taken milk, but I'm allowed plenty of curd, and I can take lassi, and I can also take a lot of paneer,
Okay.
and yogurt and everything. And of course, I can have pizza. That is a good feeling. But nevertheless, this disease will never go. This is what the doctor says. It'll come and it'll go. So now I'm going for another checkup tomorrow with 2 more gastroenterologists, just to know, okay, what is it that triggers it, and what is it that I should avoid even more.
So maybe we'll do another session with you later. But at the moment, what I would like to know is, what are the lessons learned? You said it took a long time to diagnose. So what is it, and the do's and don'ts? What would you like to share with the people who watch this? Did you find
First of all, they must get all the investigations done as soon as they find that there is a bloating of not normal proportions. Because sometimes you have bloating because you've eaten badly,
Yeah.
or you have a food poisoning. So you have to distinctly differentiate between bloating and food poisoning. So normally, even in my case, they do give me a dose of antibiotics just to ensure that there's no infection. But the bloating is a continuous process, and the bloating is above the navel region.
Right.
Second, what I would advocate is that you must avoid salads anywhere and everywhere, and water from outside, because water can always be dangerous. And boiled is good, and you should have some home remedies as well. Very often, my brother tells me, take a pinch of churan, it will help your digestion. And what really bothers me is that sometimes, even when there is bloating, I do not have any belching, which perhaps is good. And also, you have to ensure that you don't have gas. So the saddest part is that if you eat too much, it's bad. If you eat too little, it's too bad. So you have to manage yourself by avoiding salads, by avoiding rajma and sambar and things like that, and by avoiding a lot of things, but keeping a positive attitude, that you're still allowed to have a burger.
Yeah.
And you're allowed fish, you're allowed chicken, and you're allowed to eat home food in small proportions, but no salads.
Great. Thank you very much for this episode. Any last minute words? I saw
So the last minute thing is that nothing in this disease has stopped me from traveling, walking, exercising, enjoying myself. And one more thing, last thing is, all the gastroenterologists say that don't stop walking. Walking helps this disease.
right.
And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kiran, for speaking to us on Health Stories. And for my viewers, please subscribe to the channel if you like the episode, so that you're notified next time if there's any other channel, any other episode.